Okay, it's 12:03, and I'm calling to order the second meeting of the Affordable Housing Consolidation Working Group. First order of business, I don't know if Doug and Al, you had a chance to look at the draft minutes that I prepared.
I did not, but
I
I'm
did
Okay.
not either.
I'm more than
Well,
happy to
that's-
approve them anyway.
Okay. I'm more than fine to table to the next meeting if you feel that's better, but for me, and I apologize, I just did this, the morning before the meeting, but it was useful to kind of review what we discussed at the last meeting and what we could, accomplish here. So should you want to just put this off until the next meeting, the approval of these minutes?
Fine by me.
Fine by
Okay.
me. Yeah.
So we had identified as a gating issue, who has the legal authority to modify the terms of the trust? Al has reached out to Jay, but hasn't heard back yet on that, but there seems to be a pretty direct answer in the trust declaration, which just said the trustees have the authority to amend, which would mean that just the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Committee could do it without the approval of town meeting. Now, deal with the issue of what, if anything, you do with the Shopsy bylaw, right? But I think we had a good discussion at the last meeting about, what types of qualifications we would want for people on this board, and what, the idea of having a mix of some people who have, we indicate we're looking for people who have this type of experience. But then you should also have a mix of some people who are interested in helping out, but don't necessarily have good judgment, and care about the issues, but don't have experience in real estate, etc. Just to keep us on track, because we're going to have a special meeting of the select board on August 27th, where that will really, there'll be some real work about helping to finalize the warrant. And then on the next meeting on September 3rd, I think, Al, is the last meeting where we have to sign the warrant on the 3rd.
Yes, I believe that's
Now,
correct. Oh,
okay,
no, September
so
3rd, we're meeting with the school committee.
I thought that's the 11th.
Oh, I think you're right. Yep. All right. I
Okay.
can't tell the players without a scorecard.
Here's what I was thinking of. What we could do is, obviously we're missing 2 people here, right? So we'll want their input on our ultimate recommendation about the working group's recommendation about what should be the composition of the new merged entity. But does it make sense if one of us, probably Al or me, reaches out to Jay and he just starts to prepare, and it could be one or both of, an instrument that amends the trust to have a composition so that it's, let's say, 5 or 7 members, or maybe not less than 5, but up to 7, with 1 select board member. And we talked about whether it makes sense to have more than 1, but you have to have at least 1, and then the remainder just be at large, with a preference for 2, and I'm totally open to suggestions about how to finesse this. Experience in affordable housing, real estate development, social services, finance, or government.
I think, Andrew, I think we could put that as an aspirational statement, but I think that we ought to leave it to the elected select board to choose the people they think are the right people for this role. And yeah, I know that probably is an unpopular view, but I don't see any reason to. I'm I'm not crazy about reserving seats for this committee or that committee or this person or
This
that.
is not doing that, yeah.
Well, yes. Well, it kind of is. I mean, it's reserving seats for people with specific credentials. And I think that's a policy decision that elected leaders should make. That, you know, that they should shape the committee the way they see fit. Yeah, it's a policy decision, you know.
Okay,
The
except now
current board has
here's
said they
my
want
problem.
people with, you know, development experience or affordable housing experience. And then if they've said that, then it is up to them to find those people and appoint them. That's kind of it. But, you know, some future board may decide that they want, you know, people who only have experience working in not-for-profits or some other set of criterion. I'm not crazy about trying to tie people's hands into the future. That's just philosophically sort of.
So let's just assume, for the sake of discussion, that the current trustees indeed have the authority to amend the trust, right?
Yeah.
Let's say the trust is amended so that the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Committee is composed of people who are appointed by the select board, but aren't necessarily other elected officials, like right now, the selectmen, right? So
Yeah.
then the way it's currently structured, then that new group of trustees would have the authority to amend. Okay, I see what you're saying. The appointment power is still ultimately with the select board.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
And that's by state laws. That's by law.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's just my feeling is I dislike tying the hands of future generations. It's something.
I think, just to push back on this a little bit, I mean, just having something in either the trust document or the bylaw, which is aspirational, so you don't necessarily have to have two people with these types of qualifications. But I think it does help steer uh, the committee in the right direction. I mean, if I'm totally open to people that feel like it's not a good idea to say that at least, you know, two people should ideally have this type of experience.
Well, now this is a question for Jay, which is the select board has the appointing authority. Does the trust have the authority to constrain the select board's appointing authority? We can define how many people there are, but I'm not sure that this is probably a rabbit hole that we could go down very easily. Sorry. Do you see what I'm
don't think
saying?
so, because it's hardwired into the statute, right? Okay.
All right. I think we need to sit down with Jay, and maybe Andrew, you and I should do that just in a call sometime next week and
Okay.
noodle through that.
But just to have this move, go ahead, Doug.
But if we're agreed that the simple solution is for the trustees to amend the agreement and amend who's on that committee, then we really don't need to go to town meeting. You know, we can keep Shopsy around or we can just eliminate Shopsy. I guess if we eliminate Shopsy, we've got to deal with the issue of the appointment to the CPAC. That's the one authority. Oh, by the way, Doug, you were appointed. Did you get a letter?
Yep, I did, and I just got sworn in this morning.
Okay, good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Or condolences. I'm not sure which. Okay, so I think, Andrew, why don't you and I do a call with Jay? It shouldn't be more than 15 minutes, I would think.
Yeah.
And sort of noodle through this issue. And then maybe the only issue there then is just that we delete Shopsy and we give the trustees an additional authority of to nominate a member of the CPAC.
Yeah, I think a couple, go ahead.
Go ahead, Doug. I'm sorry.
No, that's right. So I think a couple things. So I definitely think it makes sense that, one member of the select board should be on it. I definitely agree with 4 members at large appointed by the select board. 5 versus 7. I mean, it's more of, Southborough is, I think, struggles at times to keep their committees fully stocked, right? So that's a question really more for you guys. I mean, I could probably be on the fence on that, but initial gut instinct suggests maybe it should be 5, just because it's hard to go find 7 people. And that's just kind of a thought there. I'm definitely in support of aspirational language where, it should, and Andrew, I think what you listed off is a pretty broad range, right? Affordable housing, developer, public service, social services, government. So I'm a bit in the fence of whether it has to be so, like, again, I think just the aspirational language would be enough for future select boards to, at least in their deliberation, it would allow someone to say, look, well, we have none of those people on this board. That doesn't make sense. So the next person we should appoint should have it. And that would stay away from Al's concern. But I think it'd be aspirational. I mean, again, would it be good to have 2 reserved potentially? But I do agree with Al. It might get challenging because if you don't have qualified candidates, then, are you getting into a rabbit hole? But I definitely think the aspirational language in the description you read off, I think from my perspective, should be included, right? So at least when the select board is nominating, it's like to say if the open space committee had aspirational language, yeah, it would be great to people that were landscape architects or have, worked in the parks that like that. I mean, no one would be offended by that, but not really reserving. But so, and I think it makes sense that, the Affordable Housing Trust Committee should have the position that Shopsy had on the CPAC, right? So that could also work out pretty well. This is obviously a town meeting decision, but I am in agreement that Shopsy should go away. I mean, in other words, it should just be one group that's really, driving it. Because otherwise, I think, me being on Shopsy for the last 2 years has definitely discovered that, Tom has spent a lot of time on the school, on Highland Street, or they spend a lot of time, but it's almost like they're caught, right? Because they really have no authority and it doesn't really go anywhere. And so I think having one group that is empowered and has, capital is the way to go if we're truly at least trying to particularly match the 61A parcels. Like, let's say a 61A parcel suddenly showed up and it was only $800,000, right? Well, that's something that they could move much quicker on, right? So anyway, those are thoughts out loud.
I think we're kind of sort of all rowing in the same stream.
Yeah.
All right. If there's nothing else, I think the action item is for Andrew and I to float this past Jay and make sure we've got our T's crossed and our I's dotted. And then follow up a week from today. Andrew, you're on vacation, right?
Yeah, but one of the things we talked about at the last meeting was I certainly would welcome one of the 2 of you or Paul or Lisa to just call a meeting, even if I'm not here, to keep the discussion rolling, and then I'll just look at emails and stay plugged in. But
Right.
what I think we should do in advance of the August 27th select board meeting, just so that in a draft warrant, we've got some more particular language to fill in as a placeholder.
Yeah.
Again, now that's only really necessary if town meeting action is the right mechanism to do this, but let's just have something in paper ready for the 27th, and it's either a amendment to the trust or a warrant article that hits the very most basic points we're talking about. 5 members, staggered terms, appointed by the select board, 4 members at large, and 2, the aspirational language about 2 people having these types of qualifications. And that's not saying that this group agrees at this time that that is the ultimate recommendation, just so that we have something on paper to, instead of just multiple meetings where we're talking but not drafting.
I can certainly, I can draft something, if that makes sense, and I'll try and get it. Unless you want to, Andrew, I know that's your bailiwick.
Yeah, I want to have it vetted by Jay.
Yes. All right, I will try and draft something over the weekend and then send it to Jay, and we can use that as the basis for our conversation. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
And then one quick thing, I did reach out to Jess Hamilton at Mass Housing. I have not heard back from her, so I'll keep you guys posted on that.
Right,
Hopefully,
okay.
I'm sure she'll call back. I am here next week, so I definitely have no issue making a Friday call. And the week after, I am away. But obviously, I will definitely try to make any call. So just, some camps and moving my daughter into college, so I will have downtime. So,
oh, okay. Where's your daughter going to college?
University of Michigan.
Oh, good school.
So
Although
yeah,
I went to grad school at Michigan State, so there's only one thing. There's only one thing that people at Michigan State and Michigan can agree on. You know what that is?
Hating each other.
No, they hate Ohio State.
Oh, there you go. Hey, yeah, that sounds.
I was there when Irvin Johnson was playing there.
Interesting.
Oh,
It was
Interesting.
very different than the place I came from. All right.
Great.
I think we got a plan.
All right, great.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
All right, Dennington, aye.
Hamilton, I.
Doug, I.
All right,
All right.
we're adjourned at 12:20, and then I will just send an email to the 5 of us to just, you can talk about organizing a date of your next meeting by email, just to get that rolling. Okay,
All right. Sounds good.
Great.
okay, thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, bye-bye.